Oceanside rider while she rolling the herb. Tide sucking up on the curb. Got this feeling to splurge. My sole purpose is to give you the word. Write these verses with that murder ain't no relation to herbs. Switching lanes for that shifting. 2 Pfizer shots, still grooving this pandemic. I just played the cards, I'm dealt confident with it. King taking over this shit, monstrous vision. Never temper thoughts, I came from poverty stricken. One day at a time, can't rush greatness. My mind like plush Dayton's. 27 laps in this bitch.
What's up, everybody? This is Alex from the Fantasy Flow Football Podcast, where we talk stats and facts to help you win your fantasy football league. This is the part of the season where you have to be very diligent in what you're making, in your decisions, and how you go about your roster. A lot of people kind of either stick to what they got. Some people try to make too crazy of a trade. You got to be a grounded person in knowing what you have. You got to be able to know how to spot a good trade, even if it doesn't benefit you. If you feel like it betters your team, you got to be able to keep your mind open for these type of things. Big one is plan ahead. If you can plan ahead, you're probably going to be in better shape than the person who didn't. Biggest example of planning ahead is bye weeks. Sometimes you end up for example, Christian McCaffrey. He just traded, and I don't remember what the Carolina's bye week was, but now he's week 9, which I had already a good amount of people in week 9, so that just hurt my week 9 matchup even more. So things like that happen. So you got to be able to plan ahead, be able to make adjustments, and know who you have during those games.
Right. It's very easy to just go into the app, whatever fantasy app that you use. Go into the app, pull up the schedule of the players that are on your roster, and just look week to week to see how many buys you have. And then based off of that, if you want to get deep into it, go on the waiver wire and look to see who has a good matchup for those players that have a bye during those weeks. You can go ahead and jump and get a player weeks in advance. That way, when it's time for the waivers to go through on that week that you need the player, you don't have to go to waivers. That player will already be on your team, and you could just plug them in right away. Because what happens is, let's say the bye week comes, and you're putting your waiver in to replace a quarterback. Somebody else gets a quarterback because they also need a bye week quarterback. Now you're ass out. You don't have anything, and you got to go get somebody who you got to take a chance on when you could have had somebody who had a really solid matchup that you could have stashed 1 or 2 weeks out.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say, when you draft, always make sure what your bye weeks are, because there's someone in our league who had 3 Bills players, and
that hurt him.
They lost.
Listen, I'm tired of y'all doing that. Listen, stop drafting 3, 4, 5 players off the same team. What is wrong with y'all? I don't understand.
That goes into the draft better movement.
Draft
better, yeah. I believe in the duos.
The duos is okay.
After that,
you got a third.
Yeah.
Why you got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Gabriel Davis?
Yeah.
Nah, I think he had McKenzie.
I'm just naming whoever. Why in God's name would you have all 3 of them?
Yes.
It don't make any sense.
Yes.
I feel you. It's funny though. It's like I do think when it comes down to like bye weeks, a lot of people, when it comes to the drafts, they either punt on a second QB, punt on a second tight end, or punt on a second kicker. Some people punt on both and they get more depth, so you don't really always hurt with the receivers and the running backs all the time because you usually have depth, right? But if you don't, then you obviously need to make adjustments. But when it comes down to it, what you're really looking for is if you can find you that QB that is doing well at the current time that you're looking, and if your QB is going to be on a bye week sometime down the road, you want to be able to basically get your bye week QB, so when that week comes, you are not stressing out because you got to go pick up Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I had the issue this week. I have Jalen Hurts in one of my leagues, carrying this whole season. I did the route where I've had one quarterback until I need it.
And
the only thing available was Matt Ryan.
And that's rough.
Dumpster fire.
Now let me tell you something about that. Matt Ryan should not have been a dumpster fire this past week.
You should know.
He was the best quarterback
I
available.
planned in advance. I think I might have had, because I have Hurts in another league, so I think I might have picked up Matt Ryan for Hurts as well. Matt Ryan, who they play? The Titans? Who did they play?
He had 14 points in mine. I can't remember.
It probably was the Titans.
Matt Ryan should have had a great game. The week prior to that, he was playing a team where the matchup wasn't all that favorable, and the man had
out
30 damn points.
Yes.
Now you're playing a team where you're supposed to absolutely go crazy on with hella pass yardage, and this man, what did he do? 2 picks
in the beginning, and he was negative for the first 2 quarters.
Come on, man. That's why the man benched now. That's why they about to start Ellinger.
Yes.
Which also could be a possible pickup if you need him. But anyway, that's the point. And then you already know tight end is a dumpster fire as well. So you are trying to make sure that when your tight end goes on bye week that you're not in what the situation I just got in. Because I thought I picked up a decent backup. Well, not backup, but a streaming tight end. I picked up Ellinger, and just the act of God decided that he wanted to have like some kind of injury to his eye. So I'm just
Bellinger?
So at this point I'm like, you know what, just wasn't meant for me to win. But so it's a lot of times it's usually the things that you're really trying to make sure that you're replacing on a bye week: quarterback, tight end, defense, kicker. And if you have one of the best defenses, you're probably stressing out because you don't want to drop it, and then you may not have the space to keep it.
Right.
And so sometimes you got to make that choice if you want to drop a player to keep a defense. But sometimes it's necessary. And then kicker. If you have a top kicker, sometimes you don't want to drop a top kicker because somebody's going to go waste a waiver claim on that.
Exactly. Especially if they averaging over 10 points a game.
Exactly.
I definitely got Justin Tucker in one league, and I got Harrison Butker in another league because people dropped him.
You see? And that's off of drops. And I got Harrison Butker this week, and I'm trying to decide. I know I could drop the Jets defense. Just like, do I want to go get a player, or do I want to go pick up the kicker so I don't have it? Because I already picked up the Bills defense because Zay decided that he wanted the Eagles defense instead of the Bills defense. I was just like, do you, bro?
That's a real fan right there.
I was like, do you, bro? I was like, do you? So, but yeah, big thing that we also need to do when it comes down to just this time of the year is stash possible league winners. So meaning, if you know that there's players that are, not back, a la Odell Beckham, and not saying that I believe Odell Beckham is going to win you a league, but some people are in that mindset. So Odell Beckham is somebody that you can be stashing right now. Jameson Williams is someone you could be stashing. Kyron Williams is somebody you can be stashing. People that are close to comebacks and, things like that. And when you pick up some of these people, it may seem like you're doing yourself a disservice, but watch when they blow up, you're going to be like, you know what?
I mean, it just all depends.
Because Amon-Ra St. Brown, perfect example. I don't think that we were really on him throughout the first maybe 8 weeks, 9 weeks, maybe even 10 weeks of the season. But that boy literally at the end of the season snapped. And now it's producing into this season. So sometimes it takes a player to get rid. That's almost the same situation with Romeo Dobbs. It's like you can see that flip probably getting switched later on down the end of the year.
Yeah.
So if you take your time and you can find a space for a player of certain calibers, or just because you know that they're gonna be able to be somebody in the future, you should probably look into doing those type of things. Yeah. Jameson Williams is definitely somebody that I'm keeping my eye on just in case, because in the future I can see him going off. Who else is there? Pay attention to trade rumors. Big thing about trade rumors is if you hear somebody gets traded, somebody else is stepping up.
Yes.
So when Christian McCaffrey got traded, it was like
you going
10
to the waiver wire.
But remember what time it happened that day, right?
Late.
Sometimes you don't always see that happening. So you may be the person to be ass out in that situation. You don't want to be ass out in that situation, but sometimes you are. But sometimes you might just be a person that just stays up all the freaking night, and then you saw that, and you're like, hold on, let me go. Obviously nobody's made a move. Let me just go evaluate who I want to take off real quick. Because trust me, I could have had Foreman, Chuba. I could have had all of them. I was up. I was there. I could have picked them up. I was just like, I didn't want them. Because I was like, I don't know why I said that, but I didn't feel like I needed one of them. I didn't really trust Carolina's offense going forward. They had a good game, obviously, last week.
Yeah, they both did.
So
I was able to pick up both in my auction league.
I saw.
And I had to drop someone. It was a test to see where we'll go.
Yeah.
I think it's still undecided what's going to happen with that running back situation.
Yeah.
So it can swing either way.
They're not Christian McCaffrey. That's just we're not gonna pretend they are. They're not Christian McCaffrey. So that's just really what it comes down to. And that just goes into the next topic of be reactive. If you can see something happen and you can make something for your team happen right then and there, that can actually save your team. Like I remember the year, like it wasn't this time of year, but I remember when Marlon drafted Patrick Mahomes, dropped him the day before the first game, and Patrick Mahomes went off. Yeah. And then I picked him up the next day. It's just being reactive. Like some people could have been like, you know what, that's maybe flukish. I don't trust that. But I picked him up, and he ended up being the best quarterback in the world. So, I'm just saying, it's just you got to be able to be reactive. You have to be able to see that there's a bigger plot when something else happens. Simple as that.
You got to pay attention. You got to be on your P's and Q's. If you ain't got handcuffs, get ready to pick up the injured person. Because if you don't, someone will.
Yeah, waiver wire is king. If you do not spend time in the waiver wire, you're doing fancy football.
Waiver wire.
You're doing fancy football wrong.
And know when someone's coming back off injury.
Yes.
In IR.
It's very, very clutch. Because you can plan. You can plan around it. So it's very important to know these type of things. All right. You want to get the top 7 or the top 10?
Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Podcast. Make sure you tune in for more fantasy football analysis. Like, subscribe, and follow for more content.
Embedded the drive, can't stop going. Catching all these blessings, open field like I'm T.O. It's free flowing. Embedded the drive, can't stop going. Catching all these blessings, open field like I'm T.O. It's free flowing.